Hello and welcome into the RotoWire esports show. I'm Andrew Laird, joined as always by Ethan Sexton today to talk about Sunday's 5-series LPL LCK slate. Before we do that, we'll do a quick review of the Saturday one. We talked yesterday about how everybody was going to be all over top because they were so heavily favored. RNG comes in, basically is the long stack that you need as they blow out FPX. I think ever since I said FPX was going to blow out top, which they did, they have been now swept by WE and RNG. It turns out that the FPX jungler spot may be pretty important.
Yeah, it looks that way. It's too bad Bo is involved in some alleged match fixing from
not good.
last year because he was looking like a stud when he was in there, and TM came back for their first series this week, and he's obviously not right, and then they had to get him back out of there and bring in another rookie. But this Beishuan, he doesn't look like he's got the upside that Bo had.
No.
A little unfair after just one series against a really good team, maybe, but. Yeah, so far not so good. It sucks because the FPX lineup is pretty nasty, but the jungle role is arguably the most important in the entire game, like for the real game. So, if that spot's going to be a weak link, they really can only go so far, I think. But it was only one series, so we'll see what happens going forward with them. But, yeah, tough one today. RNG really stepped on their throats pretty good, so...
Yeah, I believe they've taken over first place, or at least they're now tied for first with EDG.
Yep.
But we go to this Sunday slate, Sunday slate, which is always fun when Rare Atom is your biggest favorite. Not to say there aren't good teams on the slate, and I think it may say more about OMG than it does Rare Atom, but we've got Rare Atom as the biggest favorite. Behind them, Gen G, big favorites against Afrika. And then the other ones are all pretty close. Invictus favored over Suning, coming off their big win. Red Force favored against your boys Sandbox. And then Victory 5 against LNG. Are you playing Rare Atom because you like Rare Atom or because OMG is just so bad?
I think if you go with Rare Atom, it's just basically because OMG sucks. It's not really like I feel like Rare Atom as the highest priced team just don't have the upside that we really are going to want to look for on this slate. I think the teams just below them, whether it's Gen G or IG as favorites or like a Suning even as an underdog, I feel like all those teams have more upside than Rare Atom does. It's just that Rare Atom's matchup is better than probably anyone's on this slate. Because OMG are just awful, right? So, like, Gen G's matchup is pretty safe as well, I think, but at least Afrika are, like, halfway decent. I don't expect that Gen G will have much of a problem with Afrika, but they're not, like, a crap team like we think of OMG as, right? So, I think the whole Rare Atom thing is just the perceived safety in the matchup, but I feel like Rare Atom just doesn't have the upside that we would want compared to some of these other teams.
Yeah, the Gen G one I look at, Afrika is good enough to at least make them work. And right. OMG doesn't seem worth it. Looking at these stats here, like Rare Atom is 5th on the slate. And a reminder, there are 10 teams. They're 5th in kills per game. Invictus lead the slate in kills per game at 15.6. OMG, 15.16 deaths per game.
Right.
I mean, that's really bad.
It's bad, yeah. They're for sure a bad team. It's just like, is Rare Atom the team that's gonna push the tempo and really drive to get 20 kills per game, or are they just gonna kind of take what comes to them and just? I mean, I expect that they're gonna win the series, right? But do they just come out and smash? That's not so clear to me.
Yeah, just before like looking at any stats, really just the matchups, I just had to believe that the winner of Invictus and Suning would be the highest scoring team on the slate, just like matchup wise and how they can play. Do you look at a different team in that spot or no?
No, I think that's the matchup to target. But there's I don't know. Like V5 kind of have some upside because they get a lot of kills,
Yeah.
but I was a little surprised that they were favored over LNG. Although I
Mm.
guess it kind of makes sense when I look into how the teams have been performing lately. But that V5 LNG matchup, I feel like if V5 wins, then they have a shot at being scoring pretty well.
All right.
But I feel like if LNG win, they're not going to have the upside that we want. Like they don't really push the pace either. They're kind of like Rare Adam in that regard. So I feel like if LNG win, it's going to be a slower series. Where I feel like if V5 win, they could push the pace, but to me it just feels like that the winner of Suning IG is going to end up as the highest point total on this slate. Maybe Genji, but I just feel like it's got to be that Suning IG game. Two pretty explosive teams, right? We know what IG can do, and we know what Suning can do, although they've been obviously struggling for the most part of this year.
Do you have a lean on that one?
Man, it's tough. Like my lean is for IG, but it's like you have to go into the slate if you're going to back IG. You just have to know that they're capable of disappointments at any time, right?
Yeah.
It's just they have. It's weird to talk about consistency with IG, but even they've been more consistent than Suning so far this year. They're coming off that big sweep of EDG, right? So they're in a pretty good place right now. It's just they're not as safe as we would necessarily want. But I got to go with IG. I gotta favor them going into this one, and they're priced that way, and the odds reflect that, of course. But Suning are just having a tough time. They're coming off two sweeps to two good teams, JDG and EDG, but they're just really struggling for consistency this year. And we have to say that they certainly could win. Like I don't think it's a stupid play to play Suning. They've got upside. They can beat anybody. They're still on paper at least a good team, right,
Yeah.
with a good roster. But it's just they haven't been performing that way this year. So gotta give the lean to IG, but people just need to know that it's not the safest bet, right? So
The weird thing with Suning is I feel like the opinion of them is exactly the same as when the season started. Like that opening, literally the opening weekend. So they sweep top, and we're like, they were underdogs in that one, but we were like, Suning can beat anyone at any point. So like them taking
right.
sweeping top, like it was an upset, but we shouldn't be like shocked about it. They lose 2-1 RNG. They get swept by Rare Atom. They get swept by FPX. Then they sweep two bad teams in OMG and LGD. And we're like, all right, maybe they're a team that can, they obviously can beat the bad teams, but they're struggling against the top teams other than top. And then they get swept by EDG and JDG, but you're like, they probably should get swept by those teams. So I'm like, I don't even know what to make of them, because it's like I really have to figure out if I decide that Invictus are a good team or not. And if I do, then maybe I'm just like, I'll just go with them. But if like they're not at the level of the teams that they're losing to, meaning that Suning's losing to, like then Suning have a shot. Like Suning always have a shot. I'll put it
Right.
that way. But like if IG's a good team, then maybe they don't.
I think Suning's whole deal is like has been strength of schedule, right? Their only loss where you're like annoyed that they lost, I think, is the Rare Atom one, because you would perceive Suning to be a better team than Rare Atom, but all those other losses, you said FPX, RNG, EDG, JDG, those are all top teams as well, right? So I don't think we can hold their losses, except for that Rare Atom one, against them too much. IG, are they better or worse than Rare Atom? To me, they're better. They have better players. They have a better lineup. It's just that they're never the most consistent team, right?
Yeah.
So it's a tough one, man, because either side could win that one easily. So it's kind of like if you want to get the salary savings, why not just play Suning? You're not getting a ton of salary savings, but it's a decent amount. It's a fair amount, a couple $100. So if you don't really have a strong lean either way, I say just go with the underdog, because I think that series could really go either way. But for me, I'm just gonna back IG, but like we said, it's not the clearest series to call. That's for sure.
Yeah. I think, I mean, you look at the same thing for Invictus. Like they just came off that 2-0 sweep of EDG. They lost 2-1 RNG, got swept by FPX, but they've beaten OMG, Rogue Warriors, E-Star. So it's like they beat those teams, but then they get swept by LNG immediately after they sweep JDG. Like this team is all over the place.
Yeah, they are. They are. It's kind of the same boat, though, right? Like the only bad loss is really the LNG loss. So they both have quote unquote bad losses to teams that you would think that they're better than, and then they've just lost to other top teams. So it's a tough one to call for sure. I just kind of lean in IG. I think people would still say that IG are better on paper. Like I think people would still think that the Shy is better than Bin. I think people would still think that Rookie is better than Angel. And the rest is really kind of even. Like Puff was pretty good last year, and then he didn't start until last series, of course. But so maybe Suning have a little bit of an advantage with Huan Feng in the bottom lane, but it's not like a markedly big advantage. So it's just a pretty tough one to call, but it's one that you're probably going to want to get right because as we alluded to, that's probably going to be the highest scoring series on the slate.
Yeah. So you mentioned the V5 LNG a little bit. That one, they're actually both as of now, V5 is minus 119, LNG minus 102. At least that's what I'm seeing here. Is there any way? I feel like actually bad asking you this. Is it possible that Sandbox are so bad that Red Force could be a decent play?
I don't know because Sandbox just don't, or excuse me, Red Force just do not score very well, right? Outside of Diakdam, as we've said a few times. Looking at this series, I'm tempted to go back to the Sandbox well one more time, man. But I don't know if I could do it. Every time I've said that, they've really let me down. So I feel like if this is the series to do it, though, because Red Force, not really a very good team either. Got to kind of lean in Red Force's favor, I guess. But if I was going to play that matchup, I think I'd probably just avoid it, honestly. But if I was going to play it, I think I would probably play Sandbox because they're cheaper. But, I'm the guy who says I like Sandbox all the time, unfortunately. So, yeah, I mean, I just don't like Red Force's upside, honestly. They have less kills than any of the LCK teams on this slate. I don't know. That includes Sandbox, who, are worse record-wise. And then Red Force have, 369 deaths on the year, which is the most on the entire slate. So, I don't know. I'm talking myself into Sandbox again, to my detriment probably. But I feel like if Red Force win, though, the upside's just not really there. I don't know.
Only OMG average more deaths than Sandbox and Red Force, and they're almost tied, or per game at least.
Per game, right.
It seems weird to do a one-off for a 5-game slate, like in terms of uniqueness, but that doesn't mean you can't do it. I feel like this might be a decent Diakdam one-off situation.
Yeah, I mean, I could get behind that a little bit if people want to go that route because he's the guy that's carried that team all season in their wins, right? So if they win, it's going to be on his back probably, and he's the guy that's going to end games with the highest kill totals. It's just, do they get enough as a team that he pays off? They could, for sure. I think if you want to play Red Force, you got to have Diakdam, and he's been the main carry all year. So, yeah, I can get behind that to an extent anyway, right? I wouldn't go like long stack with Red Force. Just doesn't seem like the way to go. So maybe if you're looking at a short stack, you do like the bottom lane and then the team slot or something like that. Gives you a decent amount of salary because they're not very priced up, right? So, yeah, definitely could be one way to go. Sandbox have been awful, but man, Red Force haven't really been much better, in fairness.
I'm just really struggling to see like chalk Rare Atom on this slate. Do you think people just go to Gen G because they're bigger, they're not quite as big favorites, but we at least know that there's some safety in Gen G?
Yeah, I mean, I would rather play. I think Gen G just had more upside than Rare Atom. It's a tougher matchup, but it's not that markedly a tougher matchup, I wouldn't say. Like, Afrika are competitive at least, but I think Gen G just are a much better team than Afrika.
Yeah.
I think the only reason Rare Atom are the most expensive team on this slate is because they're playing the worst team by far, I think. So, yeah, I mean, I wonder if Rare Atom just gets kind of ignored because people feel the same way that I do. They just look at Rare Atom and they're like, why am I going to pay the most expensive salaries on a team that lacks upside?
Right.
That's where I'm at on them. And, so maybe people drop down to like a Gen G or an IG, the next two most expensive options there, and kind of build their stacks out from there and then go. To me, that's a better way to do it personally. But it's just really people got to figure out, do they want the safety of Rare Atom, or do they want to go for a team that has much more upside in an IG or a Gen G or even Victory 5 if they win have more upside than Rare Atom, I think. So just kind of got to figure out where people want to go.
What's funny is it's not even really the safety of Rare Atom, it's the safety of how bad OMG is.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
This is a tricky one just because, like, I'm not sure how many people are going to be like, I want to play V5 or Red Force when, like, IG is not that much more expensive. I mean, they're more expensive for sure. But I also have to think that Suning's the most popular underdog.
I would think so. Just because Suning have more upside than any other underdog on the slate. So I think that's going to push people to there. If they're not playing IG, they pair up whatever favorite they're playing with Suning. It's very easy to do. To me, I think Suning and LNG are really the only. Well, I guess I'm going to have to say that Sandbox are like a live underdog as well. But I think LNG are like. I feel like LNG are the underdog I like the best to win, but it's just that I don't think LNG have the upside that if they do win, are you really getting enough out of them? I'm not sure. Whereas, like, if Suning win, you're probably going to get pretty good point totals. I think Suning probably end as the most popular underdog just because they're still, like, their record is crap, but they're perceived as a good team still. And they definitely have upside. So, yeah, probably Suning as the most popular underdog on tomorrow's slate.
I think the only way that LNG works out is if no other underdog wins. Like, if they're literally the only underdog, like, if any of the others win, then they're probably not in the optimal.
Yeah, I mean, I like them as kind of a short stack. Like, you could go mid-jungle duo, Tarzan and Icon, and then put their team slot in. And then build a long stack with a different team. It's just, I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like the upside isn't there with LNG. But to your point, if they're the only underdog that wins, then it doesn't matter really what their upside is. It just matters that you got an underdog that won, right?
Right.
So I think they're viable in that sense. It's just, I don't know. The upside's just not where we want it with LNG, I guess. So it depends on if people want to, like, shoot for the stars. They'll take one of these other underdogs that has much more upside. And kind of go from there.
Yeah. Yep. That's what I'm thinking. All right. If you guys have enjoyed the video, if you could please hit the like button below. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. We certainly look at those so we can answer any questions you have, or we can cover other things in the videos if you guys are interested in that. If you're interested in a RotoWire subscription and want to try us out for free for 10 days, just go to rotowire.com/pod. That's POD. Get you 10 free days to the site, no credit card required, and access to the entire site, all the sports we cover, as well as our subscriber Discord. So, Ethan, thank you for that, and good luck on Sunday.
All right, same to you, Andrew.